Welcome to Board Game Binge, the place where we bring you bite-sized, bingeable board game content from across the industry. I'm your host, James Staley, and in this episode, we're chatting with Sam DeLiberato, co-founder of Lightening Games. Sam and his two friends have recently launched Breakers, a monster hunting, trick-taking card game, which is currently on Kickstarter. Sam, welcome to the binge. How you doing, my friend?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Oh, it is great having you. And in cases like this, sometimes I love to have like the entire group in, but I know you guys are in different locations, so we'll try to get through it with you, and you can speak on behalf of the rest of the team. But let's start there. So there's three of you, I guess, as part of this company. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Go ahead.
Well, how did it come together? Like, who are the other players, and how did you guys get connected?
Yeah, so there's myself and then my brother. We've been gaming our whole entire lives. And then another friend that we had from Tampa joined us on this journey as well.
Now, were you guys originally from Tampa, or?
So two of us are from Cleveland, Ohio, and one of us is from Tampa.
Wow. And then how did was it school, or how did the brother, I guess, went to Tampa? Is that?
So my brother currently lives in Tampa, for work. He moved there for work, and he met Will through work.
Oh, that's crazy. So when you say you've been like gaming your whole life, what does that mean?
Yeah, so as kids, my brother and I would take out any game that we could out of the closet. My mom was always playing games. We would go to my grandparents and stay, and they were playing Rummy Cube with a timer. So it was always intense as a little kid, but we'd always start with the challenge of setting up Mousetrap. And if we can actually set up the whole entire thing, we were excited before even playing the game.
So it's more the classics then, I guess. Is that fair to say? Like when you're saying, like, I say Rummy Cub, but I'm Canadian, so with Rummy Cube and Mousetrap, things like, so it's more the classics. Is that kind of what you grew up on?
Yeah, we started with classics, and once my brother really got into Magic the Gathering, that's where it really took off.
Okay.
Collections started, and Stratego was there, and Risk was there, and we'd have neighborhood friends over all night long, just getting kicked out of the house because we were playing Risk too long.
Oh, I love Risk. Again, my household, and when I was a kid, I mean, that was the game, right? And usually ended up with some sour feelings by the end. But were you and your brother competitive at all? Like, I know me and my brothers, viciously competitive with each other. How are you and your brother growing up?
Yeah, honestly, our whole lives, I don't know if competitive is the right word, because he usually beat me in everything we do. So if there was ever an opportunity that I won once or on accident, I never let that go.
And then, and his friend, like the friend that kind of came into this trio, how did that dynamic work? Was it like a school buddy, work buddy, and were you friends with them as well? Or is this high school friends, or like, how did this all kind of connect?
Yeah, so they're work friends. I
Okay.
was introduced to Will through my brother. My brother is very detail oriented, and when it comes to building things analytical, which then introduced Will, which is very similar in that same way. And the way they kind of methodically go through things together is really a really cool thing to see. Really just they set up the basis for this group, and wanted to get me involved, and really, the three of us have been working together for the last year and a half, just seamlessly.
So being in different states, how have you guys managed this whole process? Because I got to imagine it's got to be like Zooms and things like this. Or did you actually go and like visit each other in person in some cases? Or
So when we were setting up the company, we ran everything to Tabletop Simulator.
okay.
We started with just PowerPoint slides with written words on it, and every night we'd have a call. Hey, how do you like this thing for the company, or this for this game, and where are we going to go with this? And so everything was virtual throughout this entire process in the beginning.
So when I think of a name like Lightning Lake, where does this come from? Like, how did you guys come up with that name?
Yeah, so it actually, we had a lot of different options for this company. It took us a long time to make the decision, but ultimately, two of us from Cleveland, Ohio, where the Great Lakes are at Lake Erie, and one of us being from the Tampa region, those Tampa Bay Lightning and the lightning in the sky. We just combined those two things and came up with Lightning Lake Games.
Oh, it's amazing. Was there any debate at all, or was it like, no, this is the
In the
name that
beginning,
fits? Yeah.
yeah, we always wanted to have a title that represented ourselves individually, but also as a unit. But when these two words came together, we were like, we know this is it.
Typically, when you see like a group of people get together, either friends or family members, and bring in someone else on, and you have in the case a trio here, there's often division of labor. So is there one person that's focused more on the creative side? Is there someone else focused on more production and kind of figuring out how to manufacture this? Another person on game design, or is it just kind of everybody does everything?
So in the beginning, everybody was doing everything, and
Yeah.
we were just throwing ideas out. Uh, we kind of naturally fell into our roles as the process continued. My brother is very artistic, so he took kind of the reins on doing the graphic design and kind of the card structure. He worked in Dextros. He built the TTS versions of the game visually. Will is he's highly intelligent and very detailed with words. So he really worked on the rule book, and he works a lot on the business management side of the company.
Hmm.
Uh, and then I really took the role of outreach and communication and setting up our cons and more of just interaction with outside entities on how we're going to create this business. But when it came to game design, we all, put our third into this entire game.
I'm always fascinated about how people can bring their kind of careers and skill sets they're developing on the career side into it. If you don't mind me asking, what do each of you guys do for a living?
Yeah, so two of us are physicians, and one of us is a lawyer.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. How do you find time to do this as physicians and a
Uh,
lawyer?
we look at kind of what we preach at work and in staying even and staying balanced. And the most important thing is go out there, find things you love, find things you can do together with other people that you enjoy being around, and you can make anything happen.
I'm going to take a wild leap here. The two physicians in Florida?
No.
No. Wow. So are you and your brother the
So my
physicians?
brother and I are both the
Ah, okay, there
physicians.
we are.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. And then I know I think you mentioned you had kids as well, right? So are you able to pull, like in your game designs, just gaming as a whole, are you able to involve like the little ones at all, or?
Game design wise for our most recent game, not really, but I spend time, we do about every other night playing different games and introducing them to, there's a really cool game called Quest Kids that my kids just
Yeah.
absolutely love. And we play that every other night. We've entered Zombie Kids realm with my older one, and they just enjoy it. And so, gaming just brings joy to the day, brings joy to the people around you, and that's why you do it.
It's also good to develop skills I find with kids, right? Like I remember with when my kids were younger and we play games, and you're not always going to win, right? And it's teaching them that things aren't always going to go your way, and it's how you handle loss, right? And equally I think important is how you handle winning, right? Can you win with grace as well as lose with grace? Those are two skills that for me I always focused on with my kids when we play games, because some of the hardest things to teach, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We kind of have a motto in our house that is, what do you do if you lose? It's learn and try again next time. So my kids have really had that ingrained inside them, and gaming has helped that process.
So what has made you guys decide that, hey, like, because it's a big leap. There's one thing to go and create a game, right? Which, people can do and go on Game Crafter and make a version of their game to play with their family and so forth. But it's a pretty big leap, right? To take the next step and say, no, we're gonna actually publish a game, or we're gonna put a game out there into the world for people around the world to play. How did you guys decide that that's what you wanted to do, like to kind of go down that path, especially with
Yes, we
careers that I'm sure are not boring careers? Like you could, I'm sure, immerse yourselves in what each of you are doing, right?
Yeah, so 2 years ago, my brother and I were at Origins. Being from Ohio, we like to go to Origins just
Yeah.
to convention, which is amazing. We played a lot of games. We did a lot of demos. And when we look at things a lot is, there's games behind me that are all fantastic. And, a lot of these games are bigger box games. I'm a heavy, heavy board gamer. The challenge of these games is how do you get these games to the table? How can we get a game to the table that has strategic depth that we have and love in all the other games that we play? And we looked at each other and we just said, it's time when we know that we can do this.
And then in terms of, so in regards to you, like, big box games and things like that, why the decision to go small trick taking?
Yeah, so Lightning Lake Games are our goal for just games in general that we produce or even produce in the future is highly strategic games where decisions matter that you can actually get to the table without any difficulty.
Gotcha. There's also a thing like the development, right, of these larger games. Like I've got a couple larger games that, I've put a lot of thought behind this as to, do I go with larger games or do I kind of circle back to where I started, which is some of the smaller games? Certainly your turnaround time is a lot faster with a smaller
Right.
game, and your production issues are a lot simpler with a smaller game. Shipping is everything is a lot simpler. Even now we're talking tariffs, right? Much simpler with a smaller game that's strategic and has a lot of meat on it, but it's in a small box and a reasonable price point, versus going to some of these larger box games where now there's a whole suite of issues that come along with those, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I
crazy.
mean, trick taking is ingrained in you when you're born in Ohio. Uh, Turn the corner, you're playing spades or hearts, or there's a euchre competition anywhere you
Euchre, yeah.
go. So we
It's
wanted to
funny. I,
expand
I
that.
talk to people at euchre, and the younger generation don't play it as much. This is something that when I was in school, I mean, we just did, like, we would spend days playing euchre, right? Go camping. Often euchre would come out to spend the evenings. And, I'll talk to people in my modern game group, and it's shocking to me the number of people who never played euchre, right? And I don't know if this is more of like an East Coast kind of thing. Like I'm in Ontario here in Canada, so euchre's is popular here. I talk to people who are from Western Canada, and euchre's not as popular out there. So I don't know if it's like kind of like an East Coast thing, but what a shame, because euchre is. I mean, I could play that at any time. Anybody ever wants to play euchre, I'm down. Like, it is such a great game.
Yeah, being from Ohio, my wife's from Pennsylvania. There's not a holiday where euchre hasn't
Yeah,
caused some sort of disagreement with at the family dinner. So it is just yeah, it's a game that kind of is very regional. And in what I've realized doing a ton of trick taking researches is each region kind of has their own trick taking classic that they kind of grow up with. So euchre is just that's just the one that we had.
oh, it's amazing. So was that an influence, obviously, then in breakers, right? So the decision to do breaker, like, when did you guys first kind of conceptualize breakers?
Yeah, so about probably last spring, we started the process of, what we wanted to build a game off of a mechanic that people were familiar with, whether it was tableau building or trick taking and deck building, and we wanted to make something different. I love trick taking games. There's, hundreds in my drawer, and I just tend to keep picking them up because there's so many different things you can do with a trick taker that can really just make the table environment fun. And that's what we wanted is let's take something we know. This is our first game that we're ever attempting to build, and it's a little bit easier when you know already that kind of basis that's ingrained in you as you grow up.
And then the tie into like the monster hunting, like, where did that come from?
So I am a huge D&D player.
Hmm.
My brother and Will are huge Magic the Gathering players. So we've lived in the fantasy world in gaming forever, and it's just one that is just continues to expand without limits. So we wanted something familiar to people who enjoy the same things that we do.
So who was the first one to say, "Hey guys"? So were you the first one to say to the guys, "Hey, this has got to be like a monster hunting trick game"? Or
I think my brother Brandon, when he was putting this game together, we were kind of thinking of themes, and we always try not to jump ahead. Do we really even need a theme in the beginning? But when he mentioned, "Why don't we go hunting for monsters?" The Will and I were like, "Let's do it. This is cool."
for those, I'm going to show on the screen for those who are watching on the replay here. First of all, congratulations on your funding. I'm going to put this in Canadian dollars. It's the only way I can see it. You're at 29,000 on a pledge of 27. So you guys just crossed your pledge goal, I believe, this week. You still
Yep.
got 18 days to go, so you're only like a third of the way into your campaign. So I'm sure you'll be happy with where this ends up. Can you walk us through kind of the story behind Breakers and then kind of how to play using as descriptive language as possible?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Breakers is a monster hunting trick game, trick taking game where you're the monster hunters that these monsters have broke out into this world, and you need to capture these monsters. Really, it's traditional trick taking, but the rules get bent by the monsters. Each monster plays each round, and you have 10 tricks usually to defeat that monster. The monster has an ability though that changes the way that you play those tricks throughout those 10 tricks. Whether it's playing cards face down or discarding cards or passing cards, each of these abilities are thematically built to represent the type of monster that it is. With that, the each monster has a win condition. So whoever can achieve that win condition the best during that round wins that monster. But it doesn't stop there because when you win a monster, you get a trophy. That trophy helps you in future rounds hunt more monsters. But when you don't win a monster, you're going to the store, you're getting equipment, and you're going to have that assistance in your next fight as well. So there's a lot of card manipulation that
Mm.
creates opportunities for timing and strategy in depth. So it's the first person that defeats three monsters wins the game.
And can you give me an example of like a win condition that you'd have to have with like one of the monsters?
Yeah, so the Kraken's one of my favorite. The Kraken, most people are like, I want to win the most tricks possible, but to defeat the Kraken, you actually have to win the second most tricks out of everybody at the
Mm.
table. And its ability kind of fits with that, where it's eliminating the highest valued card in the trick. So we take that theme throughout each of its um, rounds. But there's some most tricks, there's some least tricks. There's one that, hit the bet that you made with one of the cards that nods to some other trick-taking games. There's just 21 different monsters that feels like a different game each round.
And then your artist, I think is Justin something or other, Justin
Justin
Gerard.
Draw.
Yeah, yeah. Can you talk a little bit about him? I mean, the art is super cool.
Yeah, Justin is just exceptional. He's known for his Magic the Gathering art, and that's how we recognized his art when we saw his name pop up on just different searches for monster artists. He really knocked the theme out of the park. He brings every monster alive every time you flip that card. They're hand-drawn pictures. So
Mm-hmm.
we've taken a stance at Lightning Lake Games against AI imagery. We support Justin. We support human creativity. And it's very important for us to show that and be one of the main portions of why Breakers is so special is from the cover of the box through all the monsters to all the breakers drawn on the suit cards. Justin did this straight from his hand. So um, just the lore that he brings with every image that you see just fits the theme that we want of these hunters drawing these pictures in their journal as they're
Mm.
telling the tales of what they need to hunt to their friends. So, yeah, we're extremely happy that he's on board, and we love every piece of art that he does.
Yeah, it's really neat the illustration, and it's almost like yeah, I can see what you mean by it. It's like imagine if you're a D&D player and you've got like a leather bound book and you've got these kind of sketches of the different characters in it. It's very much that aesthetic that you guys have brought across here, right?
Yep. So our rule book actually is the front image of our rule book is a leather bound cover,
Yeah.
exactly like you said. So we're going hunting for these monsters, and we need to cleanse the land.
And then when being your first campaign, so this is the first of many, I'm sure. What are some things that you guys did to try to get yourself prepared or to kind of set your research up for this to get into this industry? Obviously, playing games is one thing, but publishing is a whole nother kind of ball of wax. How'd you guys approach it?
Yeah, so in the beginning, we've done a lot of Will did a lot of research online. He got a lot of information. Stonemeyer Games and Jamie, he's a great kind
Yeah.
of step-by-step process of, launching your first Kickstarter. Here's kind of a guideline on how to do it. And I reached out to a couple game creators that I actually support myself on Kickstarter, just asking some questions, not asking for them to do anything other than just some advice or recommendations on, when you launched your first game, what steps did you take and where to go. So we kind of came up with a plan. We knew that we wanted to hit certain conventions at certain times. We knew that there was going to be time for advertisements and getting this game in front of people. We have an awesome game store here in Austin, Texas called Bat City Games and Comics. The owner, Brendan, has been so gracious in letting us hold a ton of play tests and even a
Mm.
turn at the store. So we really went at it of get this game in front of as many people as possible, get this game in front of people who love playing games. But also another thing we wanted with this game was how can we bring more people into the board game industry or just playing their first games? We have a ton of friends that know we love games. We have a ton of friends that always say, I'm a little intimidated by the games that you have. And so when we brought Breakers out, we started realizing that they would call us and say, "Hey, you're coming over tonight. Do you mind bringing that game you're making? Because we really like playing it." When I've never heard anyone, those people say anything about games before. So bringing gaming to people that don't know the world of gaming, there's a game for everybody. They just might not have found that game that they need to find to enjoy gaming.
How do you convince a group like that to take the next step, which is go on to Kickstarter and actually back the game, right? Because it's like I always illustrate this as like a Venn diagram when I'm describing kind of your target market, right? To people who are looking to publish a game, is you think of it as a Venn diagram where you got one circle, which is people who like board games or like card games or will buy a game. Another circle, which is people who actually understand Kickstarter. And then third, if there's a theme, if there's a game that's based on a certain IP and so forth, that'd be a third circle. But it's really your goal is to get to where the intersection of those are. It's very difficult to get somebody who doesn't play games to start playing games, right? It's very difficult to get somebody who doesn't understand Kickstarter to start using Kickstarter. So often people just target the sweet spot that's already there. But it sounds like you guys were able to pull in some people that maybe hadn't done Kickstarter in the past. What's some advice you would have for other creators out there who are looking to start for the first time of maybe some things they could do to do that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing off the bat is just be honest. When you have these people, we want you to be a part of this. We want you to help us create this game. It's not, hey, here's my game, go buy it. That's not the greatest way to go about it. I think just the three of us being us and being open and honest really helped with that. Is let us share with you our passion and bring you into it as well. We want you to be a part of this. We want you to help us create what this passion, but now it's your passion in playing this game. And maybe someday we, influence the next person to create a really cool game down the road where they remember Breakers and when it launched and how we went about our business. So I think that's just the main thing is be yourself and be honest and don't just try to sell the game immediately. It's, what did you think about this game? What did you enjoy, but what did you dislike? And what things would you want to switch? Is it something constructive that we want to take in? Is it they're just upset that they didn't win? Well, that happened as well, where we got some advice of, I think this would just be better if I could have done this and won the game. Where, we took every piece of information, wrote every single thing everybody said that was positive or negative, and put them in a list and said, how can we attack each of these things? And I think it really worked. We've had great support over this first week of our launch. I think as we speak right now, we're at like 209 backers, which is for a new company in the first week is blowing us out of the water. And everybody, thank you for the support. I mean, it's been incredible.
It's interesting that there are definitely different bias, right? When people are playtesting games. And the one that I try to avoid the most is if the person if it's a genre of game the person doesn't normally like, they're probably not the best playtester, right? So if there's someone that hates trick-taking games, having them play a trick-taking game, it's not even that they're going to not enjoy themselves, but they could negatively influence other people at the table. I have a buddy who was at a conference last year, and he was doing this. He was playtesting one of his games, and he had somebody at the table that straight up said that they hated that kind of a game, but they're like, oh, I'll join in anyways. And then they were just sour the entire time and kind of like nerfed him, right? Kind of kneecapped him while he was trying to get these other people who did like the theme to then give it, an honest review and not be influenced by this guy over here that was just a sourpuss, right? So it's tough to kind of avoid that. But certainly like a game like this, where if you got a trick-taking game, I would ask people, hey, do you like trick-taking games? If the answer is no, move on to the next person. You don't have to get them to play test it because, they might actually end up kind of souring the recipe, so to speak, right?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing, we always hear about trick-taking games is there's not too much. I can't make too many decisions, things like that. I like to describe breakers sometimes to people that have this negative connotation of trick-taking it's not just a trick-taking game, it's a game that uses trick-taking mechanics. And when you describe it that way, there kind of piques their interest a little bit more of, is there a little bit more to this? Or we've come up with a way in the game where the monsters change so much that a traditional bad hand might be an actually good hand, but in the next trick in the same monster, it's bad again. So we're trying to mitigate I had a bad hand, so I can't win this round a lot of times with these monsters. And it's created this fun where we want a game that's fun, absolutely, but we really want a game that creates fun around the table.
Yeah.
It's those oohs and those ahs and those laughs and pointing and things like that creates the environment that makes the game what we want. And we've seen that a lot in playtesting. And so that was the moment where we saw people play our game and say, hey, this is real.
It's a very good genre. I got at least two friends that are big fans of trick-taking. I mean, I like trick-taking games, obviously, as well, but I mean, they're diehards. One is he's got, I think, over 50 different trick-taking games. He just went on a buying spree. He had to get every trick-taker that was out there. And I got another buddy at game night. If people ask, hey, who wants, what do you want to play? He's always like, does anybody have a trick-taking game we can play, right? So it definitely has a very loyal following as a genre. So I think that will probably lend itself very well to you guys as you continue to go through this campaign. Where are you guys going from here? Like, do you have another game that you've already kind of mapped out, ready to go? Is there another campaign date you've already picked? Like, what's the plan for the trio?
No, so we really wanted to keep this to specifically breakers, and can we get this across the line, get it to the people, complete this Kickstarter before we start moving on. And one of my pet peeves is that we get a Kickstarter and then we're backing another Kickstarter that fast before it's even shipped. We want to get this game in people's hands before we start working on our next one. We do have some really cool ideas. We do have some ways to expand breakers in a really cool way. We're talking about it a little bit more now that we funded, but we wanted to hit that number before we even spent that time and effort onto creating the next peaks of breakers that I think people will love.
But the plan is to keep going?
Yeah, absolutely. That is game at a time. That's our strategy, is one game at a time, and always stick to our rule of, what games can we make that people will love that we can get to the table.
Well, I'm going to put a link in the show notes for people to check this out. It's very well done. Again, I'd like to call out even the video at the front. We talked about this in our last podcast episode, where it's a good example of where you don't necessarily need to spend a lot of money to do a video, right? There's nothing wrong with showing the actual game. I do this all the time. I mean, I could go pay an animator to animate my game, or I could literally show the game that I already have produced on a table, right? So I prefer to do that, and it's definitely more economical, and you can take those funds then and dump them into advertising and into, other goodies in your campaign. But I think this is a good example for people to look at as a reference tool, as well as to a great way to kind of outline the game. I will have a link in the show notes for people to check it out. If you don't want to go to the link, you just want to go straight to Kickstarter, you can type in Breakers, and it'll take you to this campaign. You might even be on your For You page. You never know. I'm so excited for you guys. Congratulations on your first campaign to be funded already. Well on your way to be significantly past your goal. I know you guys just got to be super happy with how this is going. And I can't wait to see where this ends. I want to wish you all the best on this campaign, my friend.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's the fact that this hat is sitting on my head, being excited as I am is great. But we just can't thank the supporters enough. I mean, that's the biggest thing, is people have supported us this whole way, and we truly appreciate it, and can't wait to bring this game to everybody.
Sounds good. Make sure you say hi to the other two for me.
I will. Thank you so much.
Take care, man. Cheers. This has been an episode of the Board Game Binge podcast, hosted by James Staley, produced by James Staley and Mike Bruner, with original music by Nick Smith. If you would like to watch these interviews live, simply subscribe to our YouTube channel, Board Game Binge, and you'll get access to live interviews, giveaways, and interesting board game content from across the industry. I can't wait for you to join us. See you next time.